Hey, welcome to Dollar Views. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Stephen Montmanex.
We're just a couple of Long Beach State film grads with a lifelong passion for cinema trying to put our money where our mouths are.
And we decided to make our BAs mean something by giving our take on the latest film releases.
Plus, any other media we've ingested over the past week.
Whether that's the latest buzzworthy show,
An album that's been on constant rotation,
that indie darling no one can shut up about,
a cute romantic comedy,
or the latest Michael Bay masterpiece.
we go over it all. $1 at a time.
Mr. Mannix,
What's up?
the director can't find Baird Whitlock.
Somebody slipped it under my door.
We have your movie star. Gather $100,000 and await instructions. Who are we? The future.
Welcome to Dollar Reviews, guys. Today's the 5th of February, 2016. Hail Caesar came out this weekend, and I'm the only one that saw it, so Brian's just going to listen to me talk about it for a little bit.
Just for a little bit.
Yep. Really, not much to say, though. It's good. This is kind of going to be a running thing this week with me, is that I'm just going to talk about movies that I think are good entertainment, but did not really leave that much of an impression on me. This is... it's a fun look at, or not necessarily look, but a fun play, or they play with 1950s show business, dealing with the Communist Party and several other things. It's really just Josh Brolin just going around the studio for 24 hours dealing with shit, and there's some cool things happening on the side. George Clooney, who plays... an egotistical,
The
Kirk
big
Douglas
Hollywood
sort of actor,
actor,
who's
yeah.
also an idiot, is really funny.
Gets kidnapped.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in the trailer, so I don't know if I should say by whom or what's going on there, but
They don't say that kind of shit.
yeah, the resolution's kind of funny. Ralph Fiennes, who's one of the highlights, has a fun little segment, I guess, where he's a director in a movie that has to deal with Aldrin Enrich's horrible Texas accent, or just a typical Western cowboy actor doing a period drama, and that's not going well. But yeah, no, he's a standout in that. Scarlett Johansson doing
She's
a musical number is
right?
fun.
Yeah.
Same thing with Channing Tatum. Although they're fun numbers, like as a tribute to old Hollywood, but. I don't know. They don't exactly leave that much of an impression, but there's some cool Coen Brothers flourishes in there. I know Roger Deakins shot this, and yes, it looks great. There's some really cool stuff in there. But it's lesser Coen Brothers, that's for sure. But I still think it's good entertainment. There really isn't much for me to say, though. I don't think I'll be seeing this one again very soon, but there is some fun stuff here.
I mean, even their worst movies though are an okay or fun watch, like Intolerable Cruelty or The Lady Killers. The more I've heard about this movie or read about this movie the last couple of days, I definitely want to give it a watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie, but it's like I'll talk about this later with something else.
But it's a February movie for a reason.
Well, I don't think necessarily. I mean, it's definitely a Coen Brothers movie, and it's not bad. Just for me, it doesn't leave much of a burning impression. I don't think, watching these actors play who they are, play these characters, they all do very well, and they certainly command the screen, and you can't help but watch them. But then they don't leave a big burning impression. So it's. For the 2 hours, or I think it's a little less than that, but yeah, for that time in the theater, it's good escapism. It's a good distraction, but you won't remember it long afterwards.
It's just Hollywood playing Hollywood because they can.
Yeah.
I mean, I like those movies. I think most people do.
Good escapism. That's the best I can say.
You'd buy it for $1 or not really? Jess?
I would rent it
Redbox?
for $1. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Homicides in Chicago, Illinois have surpassed the death toll of American Special Forces in Iraq.
Hey, Ptolemies.
Welcome to Chi-raq.
Where we at,
Land of pain, misery, and strife.
Everybody here got a man banging and slanging, fighting for the flag, risking that long zip of the cadaver bag. All to the bang bang. Bang bang.
Well, I guess I'll move to Chi-raq, the other big movie this week. Well, at least
one
if you're
that has
streaming.
much more to say.
Well, sorta, yeah. It means to say more. If you've listened to our show anytime over the last 2 months, you've probably heard me rave about it not being on Amazon when it should have been in theaters, and then Amazon allowing it to be available for purchase but not streaming, and a whole bunch of things. I named like 2 shows after, I believe. It's like 2 cents 28, not prime time or something like that. So I watched this last night, the day it went streaming, 4th February, and as much as I wanted to love it, It's exactly what you've heard. It's a mess. It's all over the place. It's like four movies in one. It's 2 hours and it feels longer. But there's some really good stuff like that. The acting is pretty good across the board. Nick Cannon, surprisingly, Wesley Snipes, Samuel Jackson's as good as always. Dave Chappelle's really good in this little like 5 minute part he has. The star Latoya Paris, I believe her name is Latanya Paris. But I mean, Steve, you've seen this too. I kind of remember what you said that like the weakest parts for me were definitely John Cusack's sermon in the middle, just
That
for the
doesn't bother
fact
me, honestly.
it wasn't the sermon itself, it's the fact that out of the whole movie, there's like four white people, and
Mhm.
the person who's the leader of a black church in Chirac, Illinois, in a Spike Lee movie is Gross Point Blank.
I
It
think
it's weird,
honestly, I feel like for me, and they explained it in the movie, and the way that they
sorta.
explain it is fine. For me, I think it would have said a lot more if he was just there and no one bothered saying anything and they were just getting along. I think that would have been fine. That
Yeah, no, I'm
you
just
know,
it,
without
it
making
is
any big deal about it whatsoever. But yeah, it has to be brought up because
it's
well,
strange in a
yeah,
Spike Lee movie. In anyone else's film, it would have just been like, oh yeah, look, there's a white preacher. You know, that's something that
yeah.
I'm sure that happens, even though it's really weird, like I said, because the whole congregation and the whole city is black, and their one leader is white, and they kind of make, like you said, they make like an allusion to him being Jesus, and that works in the movie, but kind of weird. The whole thing
I
is
mean, if you
weird.
want to see it that way, yeah, sure. But yeah, I stick to it. I guess that it would have just been much more effective if they never explained it. Let that be somebody else's problem,
Yeah.
so that if they complain that he was white, you just can look at someone else and go, "So what? Got nothing to do with what this movie's trying to say, really." And it just the fact that it's
It's
normalized, it's like, all right, cool, that's fine.
well, what is the
That's
movie
what I
trying
would
to
imagine
say?
that a post-racial society would be if no one made a big deal about it. That would be cool.
Well, in someone's film who makes a big deal about
Yeah.
everything, just kind of weird. But backtracking, what does this movie try to say? I mean, it has this message about gun control, but outside of the initial spoken word song and figures, there's no proof that this is in not just Chicago, but anywhere in the United States. It's kind of an allegory. It's almost a metaphor for anywhere, but it doesn't
Well,
mean
yeah, I mean,
anything.
and they show that strike happening on a worldwide level. That's what happens within the movie.
Yeah, but even still, like, this doesn't feel like a Chicago movie.
No.
The brilliance of Spike Lee's films, his oeuvre is, it's about New York, it's about Brooklyn, it's about the boroughs, it's about the city, and the city is a big part of it. Like, you can't watch Do the Right Thing and not care about Bed-Stuy, you know?
Hmm.
And this movie, it's like, well, where is it taking place? They keep on telling you throughout, the title alone is, oh, it's Chirac, it's Chirac, it's Chirac, it's Chirac. But you got characters from The Wire, so it kind of feels like Murderland. You got a whole bunch of stuff going on. You said this in the episode when you reviewed it like a month or two ago. Um, you got the real interesting Lestrada verse stuff where they're all talking in couplets and it's rhyming. It's kind of fun.
Hmm.
And this isn't the first time he's done this. School Days is also like this. His first major film, which is also kind of a musical. It actually reminded me. There's that moment in prison when they're doing like the chastity belt dance number here, very similar to the dance scene they have in School Days. Very kind of similar content too. It's also about like having sex and being black, and it's a Spike Lee movie, so it's all his movies. But I couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't reconcile all of the different pieces it had. It felt like a very tacky movie to me.
Like it's definitely. I think it's overstuffed for sure. It's absolutely heavy-handed. But for what this movie is trying to do, the way that I put it was that it's a movie of the moment. Like I really
Yeah.
don't see this holding up because it's referencing things that happened within the past year, and
So in
it,
some cases in the past like 6 months, five
yeah,
months.
and I mean it has a lot on its mind, and so you know what, I am fine with that. It is one big mess that is commenting like directly on things that are happening now, and what's happening now is a big mess. So it's really I don't think there's it can't I can't really look at it in the same way like I would with other movies,
Hmm. Especially
or
because
even
it's
other
Amazon.
or even other Spike Lee movies for that matter. Because
Oof.
I mean, I don't think this will. I hope this doesn't stand the test of time for good reasons that it
I
won't. Yeah, but
I think this might be one of those movies that in a couple of years people start looking at it with more favorable eyes, especially how this whole gun control issue spins out, like what happens, as maybe this could be a turning point. Maybe things look up for the better in the years to come, hopefully. And this could have been like I mean, I'm sure this is what Spike Lee and Amazon wanted. I doubt it's going to be a catalyst, but who knows? There could be some kind of lasting appeal. But like, who's this movie for? It's basically a farce. It's so over the top.
Yeah, it's a satire. I mean, you have Samuel L. Jackson in an orange suit welcoming you to like the worst place in America.
It's beyond satire, though. It's because
or it
satire
plays itself as satire.
Yeah,
which is it's weird because there's definitely a humorous twist there, but we're supposed to be taking it seriously at the same time.
But how? Like satirical works, they're funny and they're trying to provoke social change. Yes, that is exactly what this is. But because it's so over the top, because
like it's borderline camp, yeah.
Yeah, like, and yes, it has a good message, and Spike Lee's trying to change something. I don't know what he can do. It's like he's trying to have his finger on the pulse, but he's just shoving up your ass and playing with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, I think, heavy-handed, but it doesn't. It's heavy-handed in the way that it addresses these issues, but I don't think it presents very easy solutions.
I wrote.
I think it asks for one, but it doesn't really give like an option of this is what needs to happen.
And what I actually wrote a review for this on Letterboxd, and one of the quotes I did was, it is like so many characters, so much dialogue, so many murders, but instead of being enlightenment, it's just entertainment. Like it's raising questions that you already have, even if you aren't aware fully of everything that's going on around you in the world currently. And it has some things to say, but it's not trying to be resolute. It's just saying things. It's just yelling at you, really, or trying to make you laugh in sing-song verse, mind you. And because of that, I mean, Spike Lee, he has the power. He's always been, a pop culture figure. He has a cast that could attract a younger audience in this movie. He has a lot of stuff going for it. The fact that it's on Amazon, this could have potentially been something that a lot of people would have watched and thought about and tried to do something. But because it's so inaccessible, I feel that he really fucked up, and so did Amazon. And it's like you said, it's gonna be forgettable in the near future, if not now. It's funny that Spike Lee's boycotting, well, not boycotting, he's not going to the Oscars because the Oscars go white. And I think this movie is there's a reason here. Like Nick Cannon's really good. He could have got nominated for something. The only award,
I think the song at the very least should
the opening song, yeah. The only awards this is nominated for is NAACP Image Awards, which is sad because it is like it has some good things in it, notably some of the performances, like I said, with Nick Cannon, Wesley Snipes, Samuel Jackson, but even Angela Bassett, like she's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wasn't a fan of Jennifer Hudson. I don't think I've liked her in anything since Dreamgirls either. So, but yeah, I wouldn't buy this for $1, but if you got Amazon Prime, you definitely should check it out just to see what kind of a mess it is, and it's fun to talk about too. Like I'm sure off air we might have more to say.
Well, I'm not sure about what exactly, and because I mean, depending on what area, I think at the very least, even if this movie. It's not thoughtless, and there's still a lot to, even if it's like beating these issues down your throat, it's still providing a dialogue towards it and saying something about it. And I think
sort of, yeah.
I mean, that John Cusack sermon, I think, it definitely it still has an effect while watching it.
Even though the editing is really weird and it does a rewind.
It beats it over your head. Like, hey, you missed it once, let me rewind it, go to a different shot. Like, I mean, I think I brought that up, yeah.
And again, yeah.
It's beating it over your head, but like at the same time, the way that this starts, just with the lyrics of that song on screen, it's just nothing. You see this in a theater, and you got a good speaker system, and it's just a black screen with red lettered words just popping up. There's just something very, very effective about that just that drew me in right away. Things like that, along with just the upbeat energy of everything, it just really feels like a big injection of adrenaline for Spike Lee. Like, this is the most energy that he's had in years, it feels like, and that's really nice to see. Like, even if it's got way so much on its mind that it borders on being incoherent, it's still just that passion coming through. It's really cool to watch.
This movie is kind of like when you're so mad that you don't even know how to put your words in a thought. You're just furious and you're getting tongue-tied. That's what this movie's like. It has an agenda. It has a reason to exist. I mean, the cast and all the characters came together for a reason, and Spike Lee just kind of screwed the pooch. He just missed it, and it could have been great, and it's definitely fun, and it's definitely interesting, but it is forgettable. I wouldn't use forgettable. It's just
Well, I don't think it has lasting value
yeah,
though
yeah.
compared to something like
It's
Do the
of
Right
no
Thing.
consequence.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time though, the very nature of what this movie is trying to cover,
Yeah.
it's difficult, and I really applaud the ambition behind it more so, even if the effect is, well, not, I'm not going to say not necessarily as strong as people would like, because I'm not expecting this to have a very specific,
You can only make one do the right thing.
well, yeah, it's like I'm not expecting a repeat. This is covering something completely different in a different time, and it's saying something different about it. The fact that Do the Right Thing holds up is a fucking tragedy, really, when you get down to it.
It's funny. I use this in my review. In school, I've probably told you this before. At the end of school days, Lawrence Fishburne does the whole wake up moment. Then Spike Lee reused that in Do the Right Thing, and rightfully so, because it fit the movie more. And that was the whole message that Senator Love Daddy had, the whole wake up thing at the end and the beginning, trying to tell you to wake up from what's going on around you and become active. And this film does the exact same thing again from Samuel L. Jackson, telling you to wake up multiple times. It's the last thing you see on screen. I think Spike Lee should wake up. I don't know. I really hope whatever he has next. I've now seen all of his narrative works. This was the last one I had to see. So maybe I got to do his documentaries next, 'cause I know those are lauded for being really, really great. Speaking of which, he has a one about Michael Jackson on Stars this week, I believe. Well, let's talk about something else about Angry and Passion. We both saw Burnt this weekend. Interesting movie.
The unofficial sequel to Silver Linings Playbook.
More like the unofficial remake of Chef.
Not at all. No. I mean, what? Here's the thing that you can say about both of them is that you will get hungry, like, just by watching the food. But
no,
I think Chef is the better movie to watch.
You don't get nearly as much of an appetite build up in this one as you do in Chef.
I paused the movie and went out to get food. I was that hungry.
Really?
Yeah, just by watching it.
Yeah, there's a really good cast here. I knew nothing going in. I knew that the critics hated it. I knew it didn't make any money. And I was expecting some kind of romance. Not a rom-com necessarily, but like something kind of like Kitchen Confidential, Anthony Bourdain's memoir, where like it talks about the restaurant biz, but there's like fun stuff on the side. And if they made a prequel to this movie, this could have been it, because you learn that, Bradley Cooper was a druggie and he's an addict and he's a womanizer and all this stuff that could have made for a really great movie. And instead you get this sober, boring guy that just shouts at people a lot and doesn't love anybody. And it's bizarre because there is a romance there.
Kind of. Well, there's two, I think.
I mean,
there's
there
one
are
old one? Yeah.
romantic leads, and they maybe care about each other. Honestly, but it's really bizarre.
For any sort of moment where people are supposed to bond, it tends to be very awkward. I mean, even the scene where he makes the cake for the daughter. Yeah, they just. I mean, I get that that's supposed to be sweet, but it just looks creepy. Honestly,
I think
because there's no context beforehand for that.
I think the only real compassion between characters was with Bradley Cooper and Daniel Bruhl. I really liked some of their scenes, like especially as the film progresses. Also, his rival, the Chef Reese, when he wakes up in his kitchen, like that was kind of cool too. But I don't know what this movie was trying to do. I know you saw it with a French track,
yeah.
But so I didn't see it with any subtitles, and it's in French and really thick, mind you. There's some.
So the accents are thick, like this.
No, they're really thick.
I asked you about that, yeah.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper sounds fluent, but like in a show-offy way. Like his French is really good. I'm sure whatever dialect coach they got really trained him. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
No,
right?
it wasn't his voice. It was
really?
some dub actor. Yeah.
Well, if you're playing, a French culinary trained chef, then it makes sense that you would have to French.
It sort of fit because even though it's set in London, just gave me that European feel. So, and you know what? I didn't feel bad going the dub route.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't know how the performances are, but yeah, I mean, just this movie's weird.
It is
really.
weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what kind of film it's trying to be, I think, because there's like learning to love yourself, trying to become the best person possible.
I mean,
trying to meet your potential. Like there's like commentary on addiction and needing the help of others to get through it, and all kinds of stuff. And it's supposed to be built around this restaurant and becoming a 3-star cuisine. and it doesn't really articulate like.
And then you got these cliche problems like, oh, he
Yeah,
owes these guys some money,
yeah,
and
and then Alicia Vikander's in it for like 4 minutes.
yeah,
Here's some knives. Like it definitely feels like like I don't think it's the Silver Lining Playbook sequel, but it definitely feels like the sequel to something that's out there.
I don't. I sort of liked pretending just because I saw him having his anger issues that okay, him and Jennifer Lawrence split, and then he went to Paris to find himself, and then he had a drug problem and just went nuts again.
Maybe.
And that's even I know it's not at all related, but that's just how I liked picturing it in my mind. That made it more entertaining for me.
I was totally hoping this movie was a cooking rom-com, like a chef workplace romance, and yeah, this is not that.
I
This didn't make money for a reason.
I was I heard like before this came out, there was the possibility of me seeing it in theaters, and then I heard that it wasn't that well reviewed, so I put it off for a while. And you know what? I really didn't expect much watching this. The only reason I decided to finally rent it was because I saw that
Because
you
I
watched it.
was,
I'm like, okay, we need common
yeah.
ground on something. And I, it's fine, whatever. Honestly, I mildly enjoyed it. That mainly is just because of the cooking scenes. I mean, as food porn,
It's not bad.
like yes, as food porn, it's like yeah, this is good. I mean, it'll be mildly entertaining, something maybe just to have in the background as a distraction when this hits Netflix, and there's good actors here that are, well, again, I don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
the
it's a
performances
great
were. Yeah.
cast.
I mean, but just the presence of everybody on screen, like, they seemed, they appeared to be working well
Hmm.
together. And yeah, I mean, that's the best I could say about it though. But I would say watch Chef instead if you want food
Definitely.
porn that you would actually like.
Yeah, Chef is great. I think it's still on Netflix. That's like Jon Favreau's best movie since the first Iron Man. Really good movie. It's fun commentary about him leaving the blockbuster biz to make an indie too.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, this I don't know. I mean, it seems like one of those things where yeah, it's a story about redemption and recreating yourself, but it feels like one that was just written by someone that has no understanding of what that's like whatsoever.
Or no understanding of reality or
Yeah,
human
like
nature.
there's no
There's no comedy here.
and it just seems like these are all types. Like there's no
Yeah.
one. It doesn't feel like, I mean, they all try to inhabit their characters as best they can, and maybe yeah, they are given good direction because I mean the guy that made this John Wells, who he also did August Osage County and
That's an adaptation though, so
yeah, no, and something else, but is able to get good performances out of people. So and I would assume
he just needs good material. Maybe.
I would like to assume like that there was something here, maybe some went to hell in editing. I don't know, but yeah, I got mild enjoyment out of this. It's nice. I like seeing movies shot in London when it's not done in a fantastic,
Mhm.
blockbuster kind of way. It's just it's very matter of fact. You see the streets and the way that they normally are, just like every day, and it's just mild enjoyment for me seeing it like that. But yeah, I wouldn't buy it for $1.
Yeah, not by a long stretch. It's not my kind of movie, and I really want it to be. But yeah, I agree with Steve. It is fun entertainment in the background, perhaps when you're cooking or eating. But there are definitely better films out there of similar genre. I guess we can do Man from U.N.C.L.E. You finally saw
I
this.
did. Really, like I said, for this week, not much to say because it just like
It's a fun
yeah,
movie.
just like Hail Caesar, it's a fun period set movie. Like
Hmm.
seeing that just that European '60s spy movie look that's captured here, like all that stuff is cool, and there's some fun situations that happen, but it's just very it's unremarkable at the end of the day.
I can't really remember the movie and only saw it.
I
I saw it
know.
like opening day. I can't remember it. I remember the cast. I remember I really liked Hugh Grant, Army Hammer,
Hmm.
um,
Henry
Henry
Cavill.
Cavill, and Alicia
Yeah.
Vikander. Like it was a really good cast, and they had great energy, especially Vikander. Like this is probably her most accessible movie so far, and like Henry Cavill is amazing as the British super spy. I
Mhm.
mean the
The
American
American
super
one. Yeah.
spy. Like he's amazing
There's a great action sequence that just has to do with
with the
them,
car.
yeah, or them splitting up, and Henry Cavill's just sitting in this truck, just eating a sandwich,
Being
like
calm
yeah,
and having
as he's just
yeah,
waiting
yeah.
for Army Hammer to escape, and then he has to butt in, just be like, "Oh, this guy's gonna die if I don't do anything." That stuff was really funny. That feels like a Guy Ritchie touch, and but yeah, I mean, that's the best I could say. Just like Hail Caesar, good
It's
good thing
entertainment.
to put on for 2 hours, but will not really make any burning impression on you whatsoever. Worth renting for $1 if you
Yeah.
need something.
It's like if I never saw the show, but I have to imagine if you're a fan of the characters, then it's a fun throwback. But it was funny, like this was a big year, and I've said this before in the show that there's a ton of spy films
Hmm.
this year. I mean, there was Spy, a new James Bond, Man from U.N.C.L.E, Mission Impossible, The Kingsman. Like 2015, there was a ton of spy flicks, and this was the worst one, but it wasn't bad. It is an okay spy movie.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
fun commentary about the Cold War. It's not amazing.
like
It's
I
not
mean,
special.
that's part of the thing is that just the plot for this, it is resolved in the easiest way possible, which is, not
Yeah,
that's
I don't
not
even
something
remember.
it's not really like, yeah, the way that this is resolved, the way that they stop the villain's master plan, it's just a phone call and the push of a button.
Hmm.
I mean,
I'll,
it's like it's way too easy. There's really no dramatic challenge there for the characters, and so yeah, when it's that easy, it just doesn't really make it that thrilling to watch whatsoever. It's not. I mean, the stakes for Kingsman, as crazy as they were, like I was able to dramatically invest in that more, as well as laugh at the audacity of it at the same time. I
well, I
mean,
mean,
that was way more effective.
plus they made probably the best spy villain in like a decade
Oh
or
yeah,
so.
no, I mean it was firing
So
on all cylinders. Here it's like, well, okay, yeah, it's there. You got the cool period look. It's a
yeah, the
checklist of things
clothes.
that need to be good, but there's nothing really remarkable about the plan or of the villains. But it's just it's a movie where they look like they're having fun on set, but the script
Mhm.
is not really trying to do much. Like it's just this movie has swagger and it's just confident that it looks good, but doesn't
It,
have much substance behind it.
it's funny because you can totally tell with this film the way they set it up, the way things end, that they were thinking about making a franchise out of it.
Yeah,
And I doubt that's gonna happen. That seems like an impossibility, especially with Guy Ritchie already doing a different franchise right now. He's doing the Knights of the Round Table thing. So
yeah, and I don't even know
I
what's up
don't
with
even know who
Sherlock
they
Holmes
get
3.
back. I think that's been dead in the water since Game of Shadows was horrible. Book of Shadows.
I never saw the sequel.
It was so bad. The worst part about it was their introduction to Moriarty. Like it wasn't good. It didn't work well. Like the Sherlock show on BBC, they got Moriarty just right. Like he's super menacing and he is very much so the opposite. Like he is the flip side of a coin to Sherlock. Everything that he isn't, like Moriarty is, and they like have the same level of intellect, whatever. But yeah, no, there's no way, especially with how much money Robert Downey Jr. makes on a movie now. There's no way they're ever making a third movie for that franchise. Moving to another spy movie though, I saw something that's kind of been forgotten in time on Netflix this week. The Saint with Val Kilmer
Hmm.
and Elizabeth Shue. I didn't really know anything about this movie. I'd heard about it in passing, probably because I'm a big fan of Val Kilmer's early stuff. I love Real Genius. I'm a big fan of Batman Forever. Not necessarily Top Secret, but I really like the screen presence Val Kilmer used to have when he was a leading man or a leading boy, I guess you could say. And so this was what he made in 98, I believe it was, 97,
Somewhere
instead
around that
of
time, yeah.
yeah, instead of returning for Batman and Robin, he left the franchise to do this movie. And this, like Man of Uncle, is also an adaptation of like a period spy TV show. I think it was the 60s. It starred Roger Moore before he went on to James Bond, and it has like a really interesting setup. It's like this kid that grows up in an orphanage, and like he has a saint's name, and it's kind of interesting. And then when it flashes to the present, is Val Kilmer, and he's putting on all these wacky costumes, trying on a whole bunch of different voices. He has all these personas. Every time he's a character, it's under a name of a saint, and his whole thing is like he's a thief. Okay, that's what
Hmm.
he's like he's a one man. He's a jack of all trades. He has like a really cool gadget that can do a lot of things. It has an interesting message. It's not great. It is fun though. I did have a good time. His chemistry with Elizabeth Shue is really good. There's like a really fun. It takes place in Russia. There's like a really fun Russian bad guy and his son and their henchmen. There's like a whole plot about energy that even still to this day is kind of not important, but like this. If you showed this to someone right now, besides them going, "Wow, Val Kilmer lost a lot of weight," it could be a story that takes place in the present. Like it still has like there's this real parallel for Vladimir Putin in it. A lot of stuff. I think it's definitely worth a watch just to see what happened because the director of this, I think his name is Philip Noyce.
Mm-hmm.
He went on to direct the two, whatchamacallem, Tom Clancy, Harrison Ford films, the Jack Ryan.
Yeah,
The
no, that was before this, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, he
Yeah, he
directed
also
those, and
did
then he did this.
Adjustment Bureau, I think.
But so yeah, if you like those Jack Ryan movies, maybe you'll like this too. It was interesting. Like it has a much different angle than James Bond. Like it is set in reality. It's not like these super gadgets that can do anything. And there's some really interesting tech here, especially for the time. There's like this Nokia portable smartphone basically that actually existed. Like they're using faxes and emails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's real dated, but the technology's there and there's some fun set pieces, but it doesn't all work. But it doesn't feel lazy. It's not sloppy. Like it's kind of funny. It's kind of intense. There's a good message here. Like I guess you could call it the MacGuffin is actually important. It's not just like, oh, it's on Maltese Falcon in the corner there. So yeah, I wouldn't buy it for a dollar, but if you like Val Kilmer half as much as I do, I think it's a really interesting watch just to see what went wrong because his career basically hit the skids right after this movie came out, and I'm still waiting for him to have that comeback.
I mean, he sort of had it with Kiss Bang Bang, or at least people liked him in
That was
there.
a decade ago.
Yeah, and MacGruber didn't exactly do him favors.
Yeah.
I did see this movie though.
You've seen The Saint?
I have seen The Saint, but
Cool.
I don't remember a thing about it, honestly.
Well,
and even trying to listen to you, yeah, even listening to you talk about it is like nothing is clicking. Like, but I definitely know I saw it. I just really can't remember a thing.
No, yeah, this movie is very similar to Man from U.N.C.L.E.
No,
in that
this
respect.
whole week it's just movies that are like don't really make much of a burning impression. It seems.
Well, I think Chi-raq does. It definitely makes
that's definitely the one that gets the most attention. It asks for it though.
Yeah,
so.
the impression it makes isn't necessarily a good one though. I did watch some stuff on the television though. Did you?
No.
Or did you just do these? No.
No, yeah, I just that in the Death to Cinema episodes.
So this week was the return of the Muppets. If you remember, they got rid of one of their showrunners. They got a new one. It's still Bill Prady of Modern Family, but they got someone else too. And so they tried to basically rewrite the kind of humor the show had because it was pretty dark. It was definitely geared towards an adult audience. Lots of like tongue-in-cheek sex jokes and stuff like that. And so yeah, they go another route, and it didn't really work. The numbers prove it. Like this had a huge drop off from where the season left off before the Christmas break. Really weird. They tried to make it more relevant. They even like throw in like a Miley Cyrus joke where Miss Piggy's like, "I'm relevant now, right?" Yeah, I don't know. Like the only thing that I can say about it that is good is that they made it more about the Muppets performing on TV. Like it had like more of a feeling of the Disney Muppet movie from 2001 or 2011 or like the actual Muppet Show. And I kind of like that. Like they're doing musical numbers, they're like singing behind the scenes. But to get that, they got rid of the stuff where their lives were going off the like behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you no longer have the sides where Fonzie's talking about his girlfriend. And maybe things will change. I mean, the next episode's on Tuesday.
Did you just say Fonzie?
Yeah, I meant Fozzie.
Yeah, I
know. Hey, sit on it. It's like
my girlfriend. Oh,
his girlfriend's really good, by the way. It's Ricky Henlom from well, you probably wouldn't know her by name, or maybe from her face. She's in that Garfunkel and Oates.
No, it's the same one as the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, because I did see the pilot. We talked about that.
Oh yeah, she was on the pilot. Yeah, she's on that Garfunkel and Oates show that was on IFC. I actually watched that recently. It's really good. With it's Gucci. But yeah, I don't like the way they're trying to. As if you remember, the reason they basically got a new showrunner was because parents were complaining that it wasn't family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fair criticism. But
not just that, fans also, like myself included, although not to the extreme, but it did seem weird the route that it was taking. Like if
a little bit.
If I kept watching it though, then I probably could have adjusted to it, but it was off-putting at first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely found a groove. I really liked it. That's what I'm saying. I hope it comes back. I mean, they obviously can attract great talent. They got Key and Peele on this episode. Like I said, there's like, for instance, Kermit plays his banjo for the first time since I think like the second episode, but that was like a closing credits little like gag. whereas this is him actually performing a song with Piggy, which wasn't on the show previously. It was about getting these guests and them having their moments. Like there's this really funny episode. I think it was like third episode of the show, fourth episode of the show, where Miss Piggy does a rap and it's hilarious. But yeah, I hope that this was just like a bad episode because every show has them, and that next week it comes back being the one that I really liked. I watched something else on TV though this week, something I've never seen. I watched the pilot to Gilmore Girls, I think 2 days ago. Uh,
Oh boy.
I No, it wasn't bad. It was very much so
It was
kind of what I
Gilmore
thought.
Girls though, right?
Yeah, it was a CW family drama. You know, well, it wasn't CW yet.
It was WB.
It's a W
Yeah.
fan. It's a family drama, you know. Like if you've seen Evermore, or I guess you could say Smallville, basically anything on the WB, you've seen this show. Nothing different. Well, not maybe Gossip Girl's a lot different, but you know, it's a or Dawson's Creek is a better example. It's a small town where everyone knows each other. It's about Lauren Graham playing this young mother who her name's Lorelei Gilmore. She named her daughter the same thing, and there's like a joke about like why can't men only call their sons Junior? Interesting cast. I didn't know. I think the reason I watched this is because of the news item. Melissa McCarthy was like expressing to the media that she wasn't brought back or like she wasn't called by Netflix to be on the show, and so I watched it like she does. She's the comic relief, like she's the clumsy chef in the inn that Lauren Graham works at. But I don't know. It's pretty strange. It's a weird show. I think what it is because I know where these actors have gone on since then. Like you have Alexis Bledel playing this really shy and precocious, book smart teenager who has like this great relationship with their mother. I'm like, well, you know, I've kind of seen the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and Post Grad and Sin City, so I know who she is. But at the time, especially Lauren Graham, like the two of them together, and Melissa McCarthy, she wasn't on TV yet. Like it's a really great main cast, and they're really fun together. Throughout the whole movie, I was just remembering Lauren Graham going, "Fuck me, Santa, fuck me, Santa, fuck me, Santa." So like that's almost like the fact that she went from this show to Bad Santa, like when they were not shooting, is just as strange as James Vanderbeek doing Varsity Blues. It's like, how do you get as far away from your Warner Brothers family as possible? Make a hard R, like quote unquote sex comedy with lots of raunch in it. But it wasn't bad. I can't watch the whole thing. You know, there's 7 seasons of 22 episodes, plus the new stuff that's coming out in the coming months.
And you're just not that passionate about it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like what I said last week.
Like,
and
would
you were
you want to follow this though on your own?
I don't know. Like, it was definitely fun. It was written well. I mean, the fact that it has a female showrunner, she wrote the episode that I watched, and it's from multiple women's point of view, but it's not Sex and the City. Like, this is a very relatable family drama comedy. You know, the Alexis Bledel is in high school, so you have the ability to do all that kind of stuff. You got Lauren Graham, you know, dealing with her family and trying to run a business. So you got that, but then you know, like it seems like every episode they go to the same diner in town and get coffee. Like Lauren Graham drinks like 20 cups of coffee in just this pilot
and they're always
alone.
just talking like they're on speed the whole time.
Well, I mean it's part of her character though. Like they write it that way. Like there's multiple people who are like, you should stop drinking the coffee. Like it seems like a good show. What I'm saying is, and you gave me some smack the other week because I said that I don't have low self-esteem enough to watch what was the show I was talking about?
You described yourself as, you said low self-esteem, and I was like, what does that have to do with watching a show? I mean, you put it in a way that I didn't understand.
Yeah. Well, what show was I talking about?
I don't know, but it had some to the having dedication to go through the whole thing.
Well, it's the same thing here. It's when there's so many episodes of a show. So this one, okay, there's 7 seasons of 22 episodes. There's like 150 episodes.
Well, it's an entire series, basically.
Yeah, and 150 times an hour. You're looking at, it's 44 minutes, but you're looking at, you know, like 120 hours or something like that for lives of people that don't matter. They're fictional. And so I don't have a problem. Like I've been watching The Flash a lot lately.
You have
I'm
to
probably
be
gonna
really
catch
into
up
the show to be willing to follow it for that long.
It is that, but
thing,
my problem is I'm not gonna dedicate my time to such a long running program that until, you know, a couple of days ago was over. I'm like I think that's a fine show. If you watched it when it was out, if you want to see something with a good cast and you like Warner, like the WB and CW, you'll probably like it. It's a big commitment. But then again, all shows like this are. I think that there's enough there. It's just I've come to an age where I realize the kind of time suck that would be. Like I could watch over 100 movies I've
Like,
never seen
if you're
instead
in
of
college right
watching this
now
family drama.
and you wanted to just binge on something, like, yeah, this could be one
Sure.
of those.
Yeah,
Sure.
it could be one of those. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd recommend Dawson's Creek over it for personal reasons, but
I'd be right there with you because, I mean, honestly, I sort of have a bias here, but this is the show that my mom would watch that was keeping me from my cartoons. So I kind of hate it
yeah,
by default just because of that.
I think like this show is perfect for just young women or single mothers. I think it is the feel good show for women. Like there aren't a lot of those on TV. You know, you got like Pretty Little Liars or whatever, and like Gossip Girl. Like it's fueled by gossip and rumors or the nasty things going on in the world. And this is just, that small town, good feeling, fuzzy, warm, all that jazz thing that is actually for women by women. And so in that respect, like it's really good. And I'll probably check out the first episode of that revival show just to see if it's any good as well. So I got a final thing here. It's not something we talk about much on the show. Video games. Yeah, so the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 first DLC pack came out on Tuesday. It's called Awakening. It's how they always are. It's 4 new maps plus new zombies. And look, if you don't know how this works, how downloadable content works as a money-making scheme, when you release your game that costs $60, especially if it's an online one, every couple of months periodically you have to release new content to not only get more money but to also keep your players invested. You have to keep their you got to motivate them to return or to stay hooked on whatever product you put out most recently. And so all 4 of the maps here from the new DLC are actually really good, really fun. The problem is that since I am one of the people that bought the season pack, I put $90 into a video game. That's a lot of money. But because the people that buy the DLC first are the ones that play a lot, you're put into lobbies with, they're called sweaty players or tryhards. Like they're using the most bullshit guns that kill you the fastest and the equipment that isn't fair and stuff like you can hear footsteps across the map. Just see, like they're not trying to have fun. They're trying to beat you and make you feel bad. They're trying to impress someone, but no one's watching. Like they try to elevate it past a game and make it a mockery. And so there's that, and I experienced on one map like people were climbing over it using a map exploit to like shoot people from the over the where you can even see. I did it too. It was kind of fun. But yeah, if you have Black Ops 3 and you've been enjoying it as much as I have, I definitely think that this first DLC is worth the $15, or better yet, buy the season pass and save yourself $10 down the road. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on Debt to Cinema, where one or both of us crosses a title off our list of shame.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
We're available on iTunes, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and constantly looking to expand to other platforms.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Debt to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis. That's BryonGillis. And now you know how to spell the email too. And also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.